distinguished leaders of our community. That's everyone here in attendance. And to fellow veterans, family and friends of veterans, and our Gold Star families. And there are one or two here. If you don't know what Gold Star families are, those are the families that lost a loved one in defense of our nation. So I personally want to thank you for inviting me to speak. I kind of have to ask your indulgence because I might speak for a few minutes. My only regret is that I wish that there were more in attendance, because if this were a movie premiere down at the Americana or a car show, we'd see thousands. But of course, today is Memorial Day, the day that we honor those who made the ultimate sacrifice, our soldiers, our sailors, our Marines, our airmen, our Coast Guard, and they died in military service. And inscribed on these stone slabs are the names of those who hailed from this great city and gave their lives for the nation. So it's indeed fitting, I just have to say this, that today we give special honor to our World War II veterans. Of the 16 million or so World War II veterans, I think there are fewer than about 1 million that are still alive. This passage of 70 years and the inevitable process that happens to all of us of getting older has a way of dulling memories of the brutality of that war and the incredible sacrifices made by those young men and women, then young men and women, in the hellholes around the globe to defend our freedom and rescue the world from tyranny. Now, all you have to do is imagine, just take a second, imagine in horror what our world, our country would be like today if they had not prevailed in that conflict. Now, what distinguishes those men and women was and continues to be today their quiet professionalism, their overwhelming courage in the face of adversity, which stood them well not only in times of conflict, but when they returned to this great nation and made this country great. And of course, their uncomplaining willingness to put their country before themselves. Now, I participated, I'm looking over at our heroes, our World War II heroes, I participated in several honor flights. I hope that induces a recognition of an extraordinary program. Every single World War II and Korean War veteran is afforded the opportunity at no cost to travel to our nation's capital, renew friendships with old battle buddies, and to speak, I'm going to say this, to teach our politicians what is meant by duty, honor, and country. To a man and woman, they are our heroes. Now, I stood at the bedside of one of these World War II veterans. He lay dying last year, and among his last words after kissing his family goodbye were how proud he was to serve. And he said, after his family, it was the most important thing he did, the service to his nation in his entire 87 years. Thank you. Thank you. Now, there are many today, you know, their idea of public service sacrifices to make more money, spend it quickly. And they don't really appreciate or understand And I'm talking far beyond this great assembly of leaders and patriots. I want to project beyond this assembly, because they don't understand that their good fortune was derived from the economic opportunity afforded to them in this United States and the political and religious freedoms that they enjoy as a result of what these men and women did for them. Now, what they also forget is a reciprocal, I mean, it's a two-way street, and that is obligation of service to this nation and to their communities. Now, this doesn't matter. It's whether as a member of the armed forces, as public servants, as police, fire, teachers, or as committed members of our community organizations, be they Red Cross, Kiwanis, Rotary. That's commitment to their communities. They don't know anything about this. And they do not consider their military service a noble, they don't, and decent profession for their sons and daughters. They see military service, and for that matter, other forms of public service, like law enforcement, like fire department, like others, as avenues of occupation only worthy and appropriate for the less privileged or the undereducated of our society, or for new immigrants seeking citizenship, or most of you who suffer from an acute case of patriotism, or perhaps maybe even an unhealthy quest for adventure. And what's worse, and remember I'm speaking behind and beyond you, what's worse is they counsel their own children that military service absolutely appropriate. And that this military service is not a meaningful exercise, really isn't a meaningful exercise of their personal talents, good looks, and youthful enthusiasm. Well, this selfishness permits many of these Americans to kind of keep a distance from those out here who have served. Now, one of the privileges and solemn, it's really an obligation of a general officer, or in the Navy, an admiral, or the Coast Guard, an admiral, and that is to officiate at military funerals of Americans in uniform who have died in service to their country. Now, I want you, it's a moment of reflection. And as the funeral draws to a close and the prayers and eulogies are complete, the American flag is withdrawn and lifted from the casket, carefully folded by a military detachment. Then the honor sergeant hands that flag to the general officer or to the admiral. And so I step forward, having been there, bend down on one knee, and I look into the eyes of the grieving widow or widower, the parents, and often the orphan children, and I say, on behalf of the President of the United States, and for me, the United States Army, and a grateful nation, please accept this flag as a symbol of our appreciation for your loved one's honorable and faithful service. Now, I have to tell you, the emotion inside of me was overwhelming. You know what I want to say? I want to say to that mother, or to that father, or to that wife or husband, as the case may be, that this is our last war. That America will never send another young man or woman into harm's way. That your spouse or your son or daughter did not die in vain. That the world will resolve all future conflicts responsibly without bloodshed, so that no family will have to lose a loved one ever again. But I know that to say that would be a lie, because there will always be evil. There will be tyranny. There will be despotism in this world, and the United States will continue to send our children, your children, their children out there to make extraordinary sacrifices, sometimes the ultimate sacrifice, just like those we honor today, who gave their lives on the battlefields, on the ground, in the sea, in the air, far away from home and family. Now, this memorial service surely serves as a reminder that our freedom is not free. It comes with the highest cost paid by extraordinary Americans from World War II, from Korea, Vietnam, the Cold War, Desert Storm, Iraq, Afghanistan, who command and deserve simply respect. Respect, not pity, nor condescension, and never identified as victims. These are men and women who, in their time in service, while in service, and for those still in uniform out here, whether in duty to our nation, to our state, to the city of Glendale, they have answered their nation's call. And you know what they swear? And you who veterans remember this, there are little variations across the service. The Air Force is slightly different from the Marine Corps, the Army, the Navy. But they say, I have answered my nation's call. I serve the people of the United States. I am a guardian of freedom and justice. My nation's sword and shield, its sentry, and its avenger. I will defend my country with my life. And some of them, in simple obedience to that duty, as is inscribed in Arlington, they suffered all, they sacrificed all, they dared all, and some died. God bless America.